Just when prices of ammunition were starting to come down, this has to land. Yes, if you guys haven't heard, the State Department issued a ban on the importation of Russian ammunition, which has many folks wondering if this is the death bell for the AK. Yes, it was a 100% underhanded backdoor method of gun control, but hear me out. It's not a problem that we as a community and we as an industry can't overcome. So let me give you my 3 reasons why this ban will not kill the AK, and it's not the end of the world. So without further ado, let's jump into why this ban doesn't really matter and why it will not kill the AK. Now, if you know anything about Yugoslavian AKs or Yugoslavian SKSs, you know the communist regime under Marshal Tito was never content to do things by the book. This is why Yugo pattern AKs and SKSs, aka the M59/66, don't have full parts commonality with standard AKM or SKS rifles. So it should really come as no surprise to anybody that Yugoslavia did the same thing with their 7.62x39. So while the Soviet Union was churning out M43 steel-cased mild steel core rounds, Yugoslavia instead chose to produce brass-cased lead core ammo that is both more accurate, has better terminal ballistics, and travels about 100 feet per second faster. The downside? Well, Yugoslavian M67 is corrosive, so shooters are going to have to clean their rifles after each shooting session. And while I've heard dozens of people suggest using Windex to clean their guns, I personally prefer using boiling water, and if it's really, really dirty, just add some dish soap. Now, if you choose to add the soap, be sure to pick one without any hand softeners or added scents. I don't know what they would do to the gun, but I assume probably nothing good. Another reason the ban is pointless and won't kill the AK? Red Army standard ammunition. Now, full disclosure, Red Army ammo is probably the least consistent, at least in terms of velocity, ammo for the AK on the market. It's not really great stuff, but the good news is that it's good enough to run flawlessly in your favorite AK or SKS. Now that said, despite all the Soviet-style packaging, Red Army standard ammo isn't actually exclusively made in Russia. Now the latest batch we've seen is, but it's not always been that case. See, the ammo has occasionally come in from both Romania and Ukraine, and that's because it's just a name utilized by Century Arms, a major importer, when labeling any ammo they bring in from former Soviet bloc nations. And yes, it does suck that the latest batch of the ammo was imported from Russia and thus will be subject to the ban. The good news is Century Arms is enormous and they have very, very deep pocketbooks. So they can absolutely shift their importation to a different country, and they have the means to kind of pay for other companies to potentially pack up and move their stuff to somewhere that's less restricted than Russia. And the biggest reason why you shouldn't worry about this ban and that it won't kill AKs is that Russian ammo isn't actually banned. Okay, this might seem confusing, but hear me out. The ammo itself wasn't banned, simply the approval of any new ATF Form 6s, aka the application and permit for importation of firearms, ammunition, and defense articles. The difference is that new importation requests aren't going to be allowed from Russia, and that existing Form 6s are still valid until they expire, which is approximately 1 year from the date of issue. Meaning, for the next few months, the supply of Russian ammo is essentially unchanged. And if the previous ban on Russian firearms by the Obama administration, and thus the availability of VEPRs, was any indication, we'll still have access to this ammo for the next couple of years. But more importantly, this chunk of time allows importers to line up new sources of ammo overseas and potentially some Russian businessmen to establish companies outside their country to produce the same affordable ammo. We may see a slight uptick in price, but certainly not on the same level as brass-cased ammo has been skyrocketing during the pandemic. So, don't panic. Yes, the fact that the current administration is forcing backdoor gun control on us sucks, objectively. And hopefully, the legislative action proposedly brewing to challenge this ruling leads somewhere. But even if it doesn't, you don't need to go and max out your credit card stacking pallets of Russian ammo. The price will likely drop down to, at the very least, pre-August levels after a few months. Sure, if you're all out, buy a case or two, but I wouldn't waste my paycheck on a pallet just yet, especially when the current prices really aren't that good enough to warrant it. Hey, sorry out there, I wish I had better news, but look, it's not the end of the world, like I said. So make sure that if you got the money, buy it if you can, but don't go crazy, all right? There's no point in taking out a second mortgage to stack 10,000 rounds of ammo in your garage, especially at the current prices. Thanks, guys. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more AmmoLand TV. For AmmoLand, I'm Jim Grant. Catch you guys on the flip side.